I'm one of the team of careers consultants at Brunel. And I'm here today to talk to you about international job search, something which I did in the past many years ago when I spent time in France and Spain and Australia and New Zealand. So it's something which is quite close to my heart. Obviously, things have changed a lot since then. So I wanted to just start by asking you where in the world you are thinking that you might like to be looking for work. So you can respond to this poll either by kind of going to the website, which I think Diana's going to pop into the chat for you, or you can just send a text message to 22333 and sending the text Samantha Adam 743 and then pop the country in there for me. Just so we can get an idea of any places that you're going to be looking for work. If you don't know, you can just put, right, I don't know. That's fine as well. But it just helps me to get an idea. Thank you, Diana. So we'll just wait and see your answers coming in. It normally takes a little bit of typing time. Germany, UK. Where else are people considering? Just pop your answers in there for me. Ah, thank you, Diana. Yeah, make sure you've got the right poll there. So just so you're aware that the session this afternoon is about looking for jobs outside of the UK. France. Portugal. Oh, you're making me jealous, all of you. Anywhere else? Okay. So kind of Europe based at the moment from the answers we got there. Oh, and then we've got Singapore as well. Okay, lovely. Germany again, UK again. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your answers. It's useful for me to have a little look. Now this data was taken from 2017, so obviously it's a little bit old and Brexit has happened since then, but I couldn't find any more up-to-date information. But you can see that actually France kind of topped out the list of places that graduates visited. And you can see there's a really wide range of countries, both in Europe and outside of Europe. And then if we kind of go to within Europe, then the most popular countries seem to be France, Spain, Germany, and Ireland. I wonder if that's, to do with the fact that maybe these are places where people learn those languages in school, and obviously they're all fairly close. So, there are different things, different countries offer different things. And I just thought I'd show you this list, not because I expect you to take it all in, but just because it gives you an idea. I mean, these are all countries that are a little bit further afield than Europe, but different countries kind of do recruit people for different areas of work, so if you were looking at going to work in Hong Kong, for example, then education is an area where there are jobs available. In Singapore, I know we have someone in the room who is interested in working in Singapore. So things like the financial services. I've got a friend who works in an investment bank in Singapore. Law, oil, gas, etc. So it's just to give you an idea that there are areas in countries that do recruit graduates, and just giving you an idea of the different visa requirements there. I'm not going to linger on that because it's a lot of information to take in, but I guess first of all you want to think about, well, actually, what are my options if I want to be working abroad? And there are opportunities that you can do that are pretty short term, and some of those would be classed as gap year opportunities. So there are all kinds of gap year opportunities out there that you can take part in. Some of them you have to pay because an organization puts together a package for you. Some of them are jobs where you are paid. But you could also get another kind of job that isn't specifically termed as a gap year opportunity. You may already work for a company, and in your spare time, maybe you've done an internship with them, maybe you worked for them before you came to university. That's the case sometimes. And then it could be that there could be options for you to transfer abroad. So it's often worth talking to the human resources department if you are working for a company to see what options there might be. If you don't have a particular country in mind and you just think, well, I just like the experience of working abroad. Some people particularly want to get a job that's related to their career aspirations. So if someone wants to work in medicine, if someone's studying, I don't know, physiotherapy or so some other kind of healthcare subject, and they want to work abroad, but they want to be getting experience in their field. Some people, as I say, just want to get any kind of job so they can spend time abroad. For them, what they're looking for is that experience of being abroad rather than it being linked to their career. And obviously, some people do study abroad as well. I'm not really focusing on studying this afternoon. We're looking at work, but it is another option. If you're looking at masters and things like that, it's good to be aware that some countries actually do teach in English. Feel free to type in the chat which of those options are kind of most appealing to you. Are you looking for a short-term gap year type thing? Are you looking to kind of move permanently abroad? Are you looking for something related to your degree? Do you just want to go and pick the grapes in France? Pop in the chat for me, just so I get an idea. Or maybe you don't know, maybe you're just curious as to what is out there. Mainly I'm thinking of an international placement year. Okay, Lois, that's great. Yeah, and do talk to your placement advisor about that. Yeah, doing a master's abroad would be very cool, wouldn't it? And I know people who have done that. So any job or postgraduate entry role. Okay, lovely. Thank you. So, before you head off abroad, you need to really sit down and figure out, okay, what do I want? Where do I want to go? What kind of work do I want to do? And what type of organization do I want to work in? Is that a non-profit organization, a school, some kind of commercial organization? And then you've got to think about what do I offer employers? Have I got what they're looking for? And we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute. Think about your timeline. How long do you think you want to be abroad for? It's good to be flexible. Sometimes these things change, but sometimes you sign up for a particular amount of time. When I first went to France, I signed up, I think it was for a 6-month period, and eventually that turned into 2 years. But it's good to know how much time do I want, what do I want to do after I come back? Do I want to come back? It's good to think about your salary requirements as well. There's quite apart from what you would like to earn, there's also what do you need to be able to earn to live comfortably in that country. And you looking at the individual country that you're looking at, there may be other relevant things that you need to take into account as well. And when you kind of have started to figure that out, then you can kind of look at, okay, what kind of things are there? So in terms of short-term jobs, TEFL teaching is a really popular option. Often you would be required to do a TEFL qualification beforehand, but they can be quite short, a month long. And we'll talk about TEFL teaching in a minute. Then you've got au pairing is another kind of popular option if people just want to get abroad. Things like cruise ship working. There are lots of jobs available on cruise ships, from entertainment through to medical jobs, through to just kind of hosting jobs. And there's a whole kind of section here on the Prospects website where you can find out more information about working on cruise ships. Ski and outdoor activity seasons, so some people go from doing a ski season in the winter to then going and teaching, I don't know, canoeing or whatever in the summer. And again, you can either be teaching the activities if you're someone who's kind of pretty sporty and outdoorsy, or you can be someone that works as a chalet host or as a resort representative. Then you've got the costed options, as I mentioned, where you pay to go and have an experience, maybe to work in a school or to fix a well or whatever it is in different countries. Animal care and conservation is another popular area, and some of those would be paid opportunities, some of them would be things that you would have to pay for yourself. Fruit picking and farm work, social care and community related work. You've got all the summer camps where you just kind of go out for the summer, so things like Camp America, Camp Canada, BUNAC organise a lot of things like that as well. What a lot of people do is they go and do those camps and then they head off and travel for a little bit once the summer camp is over. So if you like working with young people, that could be an option for you. And I've popped a list there of you know, other ideas for gap year, kind of those shorter term work experiences. And there are links that you can go to for other websites where you can find out more details about those. And the TEFL teaching, as I say, you know, some places won't ask you for any particular qualifications, some of them will, but it can be advisable. You're likely to get higher paid jobs maybe in places that are a little bit more sought after, and it will also give you a better idea of how to teach if you do one of these TEFL qualifications. The two most recognised qualifications are the CELTA, which is awarded by Cambridge, and the Trinity College Cert TESOL, and you know, you do have to pay to complete those. There are cheaper versions around and they might be okay for some places, but it is worth looking into. Also, the British Council have a language assistance scheme that has now closed for this year, but if you know, if you're in your second year now and you're thinking, oh well, that's something I'd like to do when I graduate, then it's something that you can apply for in early 2023. So you go abroad and work, you know, as an English language assistant. So, you know, it's teaching, but just in a slightly different context. And the British Council have opportunities in many different places. So I've popped the link there for them. So, you know, you've had to think about what kind of thing you want to do. And then there are many things you need to think about. So visas. And, you know, I'm not an expert in immigration at all, so I'll show you where you can find out that information. We mentioned money before, and if you're thinking, you know, in some instances, you can go to a country before getting a job, but if in that situation, you want to make sure that you've got at least 1 month's worth of money to keep you going. Otherwise, you'll be heading home pretty quickly. COVID is a whole new thing, isn't it? But you know, you need to make sure before you go somewhere that you know what the vaccination and quarantine requirements are for COVID and for other vaccinations as well. And I'll show you where you can look up that information. You might need to think about the language, and we'll talk about that. Do you need any relevant experience first? You know, so if there's a particular job that you're interested in doing, it might be that you can do, I don't know, one of the virtual internships on the Forage website. I'll just pop that in the chat for you. Or it might be that you could do some volunteering beforehand to get that relevant experience. But do come and have a chat to your careers consultant if you're thinking, you know, well, I think I'd like to do this, but I don't have anything relevant. What can I do? Come and have a chat with us first. You'll need to know where to look for jobs, and I will show you that. Style of CV might be different, and I'll show you about that as well. So kind of coming back to the top of the list in terms of visas and things that you need. Europe, you know, obviously a couple of years ago, you could have just gone to Europe and you wouldn't have needed a visa. Now, in most European countries, you do need a work permit, and in most cases, you'll need a job offer from that country so that you can get that visa there. I've put a link here where you can check where the UK-based embassy is, and you can check with them. And there's also a living in guide for all the different countries on the gov.uk website. And there is some useful information on this website at the bottom, but it's really important that you know what the requirements are, otherwise you could get yourself into trouble. So just to take one example, France being the most popular country that people go to in Europe, you know, so France is part of the Schengen area, so you can go to France on a tourist visa for up to 90 days in any 180-day period. And that's to visit family or friends, to go to business meetings, events, or short-term studies or training. But then if you want to work there, then you are going to need a work visa. And, you know, it's really important that you check requirements clearly. So if you go from the gov.uk website, it will take you to this website here. So the France Visas, official visa website for France. They've got a neat little check for you to go through. Do I need a visa? You can apply for your visa online. You can submit your application and track your application. So this is just France, but if you use the gov.uk website for any country that you're thinking of going to, then it will take you to the relevant, it will give you a summary of the information as they understand it, as up to date as possible, and then it will usually give you the link to go to the relevant country so that you can check that out. And, you know, if you're stuck, you can always come and have a chat with us. Then you've got those vaccination requirements, and you've got a couple of websites here. So you've got the National Health Service website will give you a list of what vaccinations you might need to travel to individual countries. There's a similar thing on this Health Pro website. In fact, the National Health Service website directs you to both of these websites. But the government website, again, gives you foreign travel advice. And again, in terms of COVID, and knowing whether you need to be vaccinated or not, or if you're going to have to quarantine before you go there. If you go to that website, then it will show you exactly what you need to do. Obviously, things change quite quickly from country to country. The language, do you need to know the language? It really depends. It depends where you're going and what you're going to do. You know, if you're just going to pick fruit for a couple of months, you don't need to know the language. And any further than being able to communicate with the person that you're working for, but maybe they speak English anyway. If you're going to go and settle in a country, you know, I do know people that have gone and lived in countries for years and don't speak the language. In other countries, it can be more difficult. So it's worth just researching the culture of the country, the culture of the organization you're going to work for, and finding out, you know, would it be helpful for me to learn the language? But the other side of it that we'll look at in a minute is that, you know, it can be helpful when you're applying to jobs to show that you speak the language. Now, obviously, you know, we do have Brunel language courses on offer. I think it's 8 or 9 different languages that are offered. Now, they're not, you can't apply for those now this year, but again, if you're kind of in your first or second year, come next September, you can apply to take one of the Brunel language courses. If you're thinking, well, I want to be heading abroad this summer, you know, you can download the Duolingo app. That's a really great app for language learning. You've got the BBC Languages website. If you want to kind of have lessons with a human being, then italki is a website that you can use. But also just, you know, loads of free things you can use. So podcasts are a really good way. So there are podcasts for complete beginners, you know, so French Made Easy is an example, Learn Italian, Podcast Italian, Easy German. There are loads and loads of podcasts out there. And as I say, you can look at ones that are aimed at complete beginners, right up to ones that give you quite advanced language. Instagram as well, a lot of the accounts that you'll find as podcasts, they also have Instagram accounts, and they put up little clips just for little short things for you to learn. So that's another way. And just listening to the radio especially, you know, if you're a little bit more advanced in your language, then just listening to the radio or tuning into television programs is also a really good way to improve your language. And then, you know, that I just mentioned that using your language skills is one way to impress employers on an international scale. But other things for you to think about is, you know, the CV. What format is the CV? So I keep going back to France just because that's, as I say, it was top of the list, and it's just easy to pick one example, but CVs in France are different to CVs in the UK. Now, if you're applying to a company that is an international organization or an organization that is based in the UK, then, you know, a UK CV is going to be fine. But if you're applying to a French organization or a German organization, you know, and they're expecting the CV in that language or maybe in English, but in the format of that country, you need to check that. Now, we have a subscription to a website called Going Global. And I've put the password and the link in a slide further on, but you can go on to Going Global and you can check. You can put in which country you're thinking of going to, and you can check, okay, what's the CV look like? What does the cover letter look like? Are cover letters a thing? You know, and it is really important to check. I'll show you an example French CV in a minute. if you're thinking, well, I want to do this job in this country, but I don't know how to do it, networking can be a really useful thing. So, if you're an engineer, if you're studying engineering, you want to go and work in Australia as an engineer, you can perhaps Google the professional engineering bodies in Australia and see if there are any networking events that they're running, see if there's like a chat where you can get in touch with them and find out if they can give you any tips. Maybe there is a forum on there, a chat forum. So, really kind of checking out, are there organizations, in the UK, there are plenty of professional bodies for all the different professions like accounting, engineering, law, medicine, all of those things. And you will find similar bodies in countries abroad as well. Then you want to think about, well, what makes me unique? Okay, so we've talked about language. Maybe you have those language skills already, but it's also think about what other skills have I got to offer? Maybe you're someone who has an international perspective. Maybe you studied in different countries. Maybe you've already worked in different countries. So in some countries, you have to prove, or the employer has to prove that there isn't anyone else that can take that particular job. So you have to work quite hard to show that you've got something extra to offer. And showing that you understand the culture and also the immigration laws. There's no point contacting an organization for a job if it's just not possible for you to work in that country, and that won't impress the employer anyway. But the last thing is to be really clear and confident in yourself, in your ability to do that job. And that's where it comes to knowing your own skills and strengths. And we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So here's this French CV. You'll notice that on a French CV, it's commonplace, it's the norm to have a photo on your CV. Now, I'm sure most of you know that that really isn't what we do in the UK. So this is just one example of a French CV. I would advise you to, go on to Going Global, have a look in a couple of places just to check the format, and then, we can check it for you as much as we can. If the CV has to be in a particular language. Some of us in the PDC do speak some languages, so we may be able to help. If it's a CV in English, obviously we'll be able to check it for you, but you may need to get someone else to check it who has the language skills of that country. I also know that in Germany, for example, CVs are longer than in the UK, so it's very, very important to check that. So your skills and your strengths. Does anyone know what the difference is between skills and strengths? It often confuses people. And it is, it's important to know what your skills are, but it's really important to know what your strengths are when you're selling yourself for any kind of job, whether that's in the UK or abroad. Anyone want to be brave and have a go at breaking down the difference? Skills are the things we can do. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Tanvi. Perfect. Yeah, so skills are things you can do and you can learn them. Okay, so, it could be that, you weren't a natural leader, but you've learned how to lead a team of people if necessary. Whereas if leadership is your strength, that's your innate talent. As Tanvi says, it's something you're really good at and really confident about. So it's the kind of thing which people know you for, your standout skills. So there's overlap. But a skill is something that you can learn. A strength is this is something I'm really amazing at. And as I say, for any job, you want to be able to know that so you can sell yourself. And skills, then we can break down into the soft skills. So these are more the skills that you'll see in job adverts. So things like communication, teamwork, self-motivation, organization, leadership, those skills which enable you to build relationships with people and to be an effective colleague. Then we have hard skills. Now, these are the more quantifiable skills. So things like being able to speak a foreign language, use a particular software package, be able to use tools like SPSS or maybe particular engineering tools, computer programming, typing, all of those things which are more quantifiable. And these are the top 10 employability skills that you're likely to see on adverts. Now, as we've already said, you know, these could be a strength for you. You know, you may have an absolute strength in problem solving. You might have been the kind of kid that was taking computers apart when you were 5, trying to figure out why it wasn't working anymore. That's a strength, but it can also be a skill. And it's good to know the skills for the particular jobs that you're looking for. So these are just general skills that you will see on job adverts. But as I say, you know, specific to your degree and for specific to the kind of work you might be looking for, there may be additional skills. You know, for my economics and finance students, often programming is something which is looked upon really favorably. So, you know, if you know that, you will have access to LinkedIn Learning for free whilst you're at Brunel. So, you know, you can go onto LinkedIn Learning and look up, oh, what courses are there in Python? So you can add to your skill set. And then moving on to strengths, you know, as I say, it's really important to be able to identify your strengths. So how can you do that? We're not very good at it. So you want to use the people around you, talk to the people that know you and just say to them, you know, hey, what do you think I'm really good at? And sometimes it can be really nice to ask that question because it's always nice to hear what you're good at, but it also helps you to be able to distinguish, oh, okay, I didn't realize I was so good at that, you know, because it comes so naturally to me. I thought it came naturally to everyone. So speak to people, to ask them. There are tests out there you can do. So this is just one example, the high five test, which you can go on to and it will ask you questions. And then it will tell you what your strengths are. But then you can also be quite reflective and sit down and think, okay, well, what are the things that come more naturally to me? You know, maybe I'm good with numbers, but dig deeper. In which way am I good at working with numbers? Is it, you know, solving problems? Is it spotting patterns, working through complex calculations? And you can think about, you know, what are my golden moments? You know, I don't mean winning a gold medal at the Olympics, but it's, you know, maybe you managed to deliver a speech to the whole of your school when you were in 6th form. Maybe you completed the Ready program at Brunel. Think about something which you feel really proud of and then dig down again and think, well, what are the strengths that enabled me to do that? And when you're in a difficult situation, what's your go-to skill? You know, some people are the ones that remain calm. Some of them are the ones that kind of spin into, right, I'm going to lead this, I'm going to direct. Some people kind of sit and think, okay, what's the solution here? And you will all react differently in difficult situations. And think about, you know, which one am I in the room? If I'm in a group of people, if I'm in my tutor group, if I'm at work, at home, which one are you? Do you sit there and organize? Do you analyze things? Do you come up with ideas? Are you the leader? Are you the problem solver? So kind of thinking about yourself in comparison to other people is a good way, not to compare yourself in a negative way. We can all do that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about figuring out what you're good at. And I've got a list here for you because it can be really difficult to think of strengths. So I've got a list here of some strengths. Have a look and try if you can and pick out 3 that just resonate with you. You think, yeah, maybe that's me. And if you feel happy to share any of those, do pop them in the chat. Sorry, I know we're running over a few minutes. I will be as quick as we can. But if you're happy to share 1 or 2 of your strengths in the chat, do pop them in there. It's a more comprehensive list than, you know, just those employability skills that you'll see in many, many job adverts. So it's far wider than that. And obviously I haven't put them all on the screen here, but there's a good selection there. So I'm pretty sure that you can all find at least 1 that would relate to you. And, you know, it could be an idea to take a photo of this one, or I'm sure you will get the slides anyway after the talk, but so you can have a look with a bit more time and try and identify them. Just give you a chance to type in the chat there. Okay, I'll just carry on, just in case you're still typing. So creativity and critical thinking, lovely. What a nice combination. Empathy, humor, organization, nice. Yeah, it's a nice thing to do, isn't it? To think about it. And Thank you for sharing those. That's really lovely strengths to have, both of those lists there. And, you know, what you can do is think about, well, you know, how do I use those strengths in my studies? You know, something like humor, you might use that to kind of keep everyone laughing and engaged in a task, because a bit of humor goes a long way. And creativity, maybe you use that to come up with the ideas. And also, you know, then you can think about, well, how do I use my strengths at work? If you have a part-time job or some volunteering, how do you use those? So do reflect on it. I would really encourage you to do that. Then moving swiftly on to, sorry, there's so much to pack in, but where can you look for opportunities? There's a range of different places. So, you know, the ASEC website has a lot of global volunteering opportunities. The United Nations has volunteering opportunities. BUNAC has all kinds of things that you can do that you pay for, so things that are all organized for you. The Going Global website, which I already mentioned, has ideas for where you can look for jobs. The E4S website has kind of gap year and short-term jobs abroad. There's a few permanent jobs, but not many. We have this Brunel Industry A to Z, so you can go onto there. And for example, if you're interested, you know, if you're doing a law degree and you're interested in working in law, you can go to the law section in the Industry A to Z, and you will find job sites with information on law careers, but also job search websites. Now they're UK-based job websites, but on some of those you will be able to put in countries abroad and be able to search for jobs. As I mentioned, in some instances, you can just go abroad and look, but it's important to have a strategy. And as I mentioned, at least enough money to last you a month. You can also look on, so yeah, there's the login details for the Going Global website. The Prospects website, which I'll close down the presentation when we get to the end and show you, but it has, for most countries that you would want to go and work in, if you follow this link, you can click on the country that you want to go to, and it will give you all kinds of information about working in that country, as well as specific job websites for searching in that country. So that's probably, you know, the most valuable resource in all of these is this list here. And Target Jobs has a similar thing. It's more kind of bunched together in areas like USA, Asia, Europe, for example, whereas the Prospects website breaks it down more into individual countries. I don't know if you attended the Global Careers Fair earlier in the week, but I've just kind of made a note of all the organizations that attended that Global Careers Fair, because they all have opportunities. You know, some of those will be paid, some of them will be you have to pay for them, but you know, you can go to their websites and see what they have on offer if you didn't manage to see them at the Careers Fair earlier in the week. And that was it. Sorry, it's a real whistle-stop tour. There's so much to think about. Obviously, you've got visas, you've got vaccinations, you've got money, you've got making sure that you target your CV, cover letter, you know, or application in the right way. You've got, you know, where to look for jobs, how to sell yourself. So it's a lot to think about. And, you know, this is really just a really potted, quick whiz through it all. You can book an appointment, of course, with us to talk about any of these things in more detail. So if you're looking for a placement abroad, do, you know, use this link and select placement appointments. If you want to talk about graduate jobs or summer jobs, then book either a careers appointment with your careers consultant or a 15-minute quick query appointment. That was everything I had to say. I'm sure that you have questions, so do feel free to take yourself off chat. I will just escape out of the presentation and show you very quickly the Prospects website. So not that one. Here we are. So this is the Prospects website, and if I just reverse, you can see you've got all of these different countries listed here. So I just picked Japan as an, oh, well, let's look at Singapore, because I know one of you is interested in working in Singapore. So you click on and it will show you the kinds of jobs and organizations that hire, areas where there are skills shortages. And as I said, you know, you've got these individual websites where you can look for jobs in that country. So it's a really useful resource. Okay. So I'll just pop that link in the chat for you as well, because I think it's a really valuable one. Okay, so any questions at all? And sorry, I kind of went over a little bit, but hopefully that was helpful. But do come off mute or type in the chat any questions that you have. Currently in India, we're joining Brunel in September. Yes, absolutely, Tanvi. You can book either a telephone appointment or a, probably better is a virtual appointment, so either Teams or Skype. So you just use that appointment link. I don't know if you have the appointment link to hand, Diana, to pop in the chat. And thanks, Diana. And yes, you can absolutely. Oh, hold on, you'll be joining in September. Sorry, I thought you meant you were studying already. You can, which subject are you studying, will you be studying, Tanvi? Data science. Oh, I'm not sure who the MSc data science. So are you studying an undergrad in data science with us, or I'm guessing not, if you're in India at the moment, postgrad. Okay. So perhaps send me an email. I'll just put my email in the chat and I can find out who the career consultant is. You probably can't book an appointment at the moment because you won't have a student number, so you won't be able to book. But if you send me an email, I can put you in touch. If you've got some questions that you wanted answered, I can put you in touch with the relevant careers consultant. Okay. Any other questions? Great, thanks Diana for popping that link in there. Okay, so thanks so much to all of you for joining the session. I hope you found something useful there. And if you need help with any of those things, do book in for an appointment with us and we'll be really happy to help you. You're very welcome. You're welcome.
I will stop the recording now.